Hello, everyone. Welcome to week 2 of this 4-week bootcamp, Healthy Habits of a Purposeful Life. Week 2, I have named it The Messengers, our physical and emotional body. I'm Paola Castro, your host. I'm a coach, I'm an author, I'm a speaker. And what I'm doing with you guys right now, it's one of my favorite things, which is teaching and guiding all of us, including myself, into this path of awakening, of remembering the truth of who we really are. I am so excited that we are doing this together. So let's dive in today's teachings. So first, my suggestions to you is number 1, let's be open to everything and attached to absolutely nothing. As I have said before, this is one of the best qualities of the masters, to be flexible, to be and remain flexible to everything. Everything in life, not only this course, everything. To have an open mind, to have that curiosity that children have to learn. Because that's the best way of learning, when we have curiosity and being open and not attached to anything. Don't not get dogmatic to any concepts that I am sharing here. The other thing is disconnect to connect. Hopefully you'll be in a space right now where you're not going to be bothered. And if you feel like you're getting very distracted by your surroundings, I invite you to pause the video and then resume whenever you have more time for yourself. Because this requires you to be very present so that not only your mind catches the information, but your heart as well. Then grab a journal and a pen so that you can write down all of the suggestions, all of the concepts, all of the quotes that resonate with your heart. You write them down and they go deeper into your subconscious mind. Then remember, this is all about progress, not perfection. The soul is all about progressing, taking steps, even if those are baby steps. Perfection makes us procrastinate, makes us abandon ourselves because we say, well, if I'm not perfect, if I'm not doing this perfectly, then I'm not going to do it. Why bother? But no, we don't need you to be perfect. We need you to be showing up willingly. Then again, pause and breathe. I'm going to be reminding us to pause and take a deep breath. But there's a part in the video where it's landing very deeply within yourself, the information, or perhaps you're feeling that it might be too overwhelming in the moment. Pause the video, pause yourself, and take a deep breath and let it go. And the last thing is action, action, action. Knowing without doing is like not really knowing. Real wisdom is to do what you know. So those are my suggestions for us today. And in fact, let's start this class breathing into our hearts. So I would invite you to close your eyes very slowly and gently and start paying attention to your breath going in and out your nose. As you're doing this, you're centering into this present moment. You are being more aware of where you are right now. And more importantly, we're sending a signal to the body temple that it can relax, that it can let go all the worries of your day, and that you can be here, that it is safe to be here right now. So together we're going to take 3 deep breaths, focusing all of our attention in our heart area. Take a deep breath in and exhale out the mouth. Inhale through the heart, open your heart. And now let go. One more time, inhale through your heart. And let go now. Beautiful. And we set the intention before we begin this lesson to be open to everything, to connect to our hearts, to take a pause and breathe. We have the intentionality of learning, of being available for the wisdom that arises through these teachings. We are available to get it with our hearts instead of getting it with our minds. First with our hearts, and then we allow the mind to make sense of it, but not before the heart has catched it. So if at any given moment you need a breath, just take a deep breath in And surrender with your exhale. And we are ready to begin this class. So open your eyes slowly. And we are back. So what are we going to be learning today? Week 2, it's all about the body and our emotions. But in order to talk about that, I'm going to begin with the concept of beliefs. How beliefs are shaping your reality. Why being in chaos is a blessing in disguise. This is one of my favorite topics. How to change a belief. How to engage in emotional hygiene without bypassing your emotions, honoring your emotions, but moving forward. And then the last thing, I'm going to have a few calls to action, of course. All of this information is useful only if we use it. Okay, so let's begin. So beliefs are creating your reality. And this is one of the most powerful concepts you will ever know or you'll ever learn in this life. Concepts about life. Whatever it is that you have in your mind is shaping your reality. And one of my favorite quotes of all time says, until we make the unconscious conscious, the unconscious will rule our lives, but we will call it fate. So take a moment to read this with me. Until we make the unconscious conscious, the unconscious will rule our lives, but we will say, oh, this is just a story of my life, Paola. Of course, I am feeling this way. This is just how I've been feeling all my life. Of course, they didn't take me into consideration for that role. I'm not enough. Of course, Paola, I'm single. I'm not worthy of love. And maybe it's not enough, of course. Maybe it is your birthright. And I'm not saying maybe. I'm saying it's definitely your birthright to be happy, to be at peace, to be in joy. But what about if it is the information that you have acquired throughout your life that is limiting you from tapping into your potential, from demanding from the universe, from claiming from the universe your birthright, which is to be happy, to be fulfilled, to be in freedom? So I think this is one of my favorite quotes because it really says in a few words the reality of most human beings. We're living a life that we don't feel fully fulfilled with it because we have information that is not congruent to what we want. We want to be wealthy, we want to be healthy, we want to be surrounded by people that love us, we want to love and express ourselves, but we're still entertaining in our unconscious mind beliefs that said, I'm not worthy, I'm not enough, people are not trustworthy, this world is very hostile, everything is corrupted, it's not safe to be alive. As long as we're entertaining and holding that in our unconscious mind and not being aware of it, then it will keep ruling our life. And then we will just say, oh, this is just who I am. And there's nothing to do. And I have nothing to do. There's nothing I can do about it. All right? So how are our beliefs changing or shaping our reality? And it all starts with a belief. But a belief is a thought that you kept thinking over and over again. And then it created a synapses in your brain, a connection in your brain. We all have an interconnected brain that is always firing thoughts that are congruent to that belief. So the most popular belief among all human beings is I'm not enough. So at some point in our lives, usually from 0 to 7 years old, we catch from our environment that we might not be enough. And we catch it because our parents were not feeling enough, because their parents were not feeling enough. And this belief of not being enough, we catch that, then we gather evidence, which in a moment we're going to talk about the importance of the evidence that you find in your surroundings. You saw that maybe in school you were rejected. You saw that perhaps other people were doing better than you, so you start comparing yourself. And all of these things that you started gathering said to your brain, you know what, I'm not enough. And the brain said, okay, deal, I got it. I'm going to create a synapses in our brain and in our subconscious mind, mind that says I'm not enough. So you don't have to think about it consciously. It's right there ruling your life. So that belief will fire thoughts that are in congruency with that. And so we will feel this emotion of depression, sadness, boredom, sluggish, like everything is too heavy. And I put this pictures over here of someone having a habit of emotional eating. And the reason why I'm putting this slides is because it's very typical. It's a very typical reality. And the other reason is because I resonate with this. In my life, I remember in my family, my grandma was a very strong woman. She had to overcome war in Panama Civil War. She had to come to Costa Rica with her 9 children, 9 girls and 2 boys, so there were 11 children. So imagine a single woman with a lot of children in a new country, beginning, brand new. Back in the day, back in the 60s, the macho culture was pretty hardcore. So she believed that she had to protect herself, that showing any sign of vulnerability for her meant death, not only to her, but to her children. So I remember my grandma being very, very strong. Nobody ever saw her crying. She said, you only have 2 reasons to cry, and one of them is if someone dies, and the other one is if you get pregnant without wanting to be pregnant, because she had 12 kids. But not to say that, I'm not saying that being pregnant it's a bad thing. It's a beautiful thing. But in her belief system, you only had those 2 reasons to feel. And so she was very strong, and anytime she would feel, she would use her beliefs in Christianity to hold her, to support her, which that was beautiful. But then also she would go to retreat to food, and food is one of the ways that we find soothing and love. And as a young girl, a little girl, I remember sometimes feeling inadequate, feeling not enough, feeling that my environment wasn't safe. And as a little girl, what did I do? I ate. I ate until I felt okay. In a very young age, I developed a habit of every time I would feel an emotion that I didn't know how to deal with it, I will go to food. And so that is why I put this example. But this could be any habit. It could be that you have a habit of going to a substance, be that alcohol or any kind of drug. It could be that you do this with drama, that you become very dramatic, and that's your habit. It could be that you tend to help so many people. You tend to be in everyone's life but your life. It could be that you're a workaholic. It could be that you're a shopaholic. It could be any kind of a habit or addiction. So, and it also works for the positive one. So it's not all have to be negative, but I'm talking about the low vibration habits because those are the ones that we want to transmute. So, a belief will fire a thought that is congruent with that belief, and that thought immediately will fire an emotion. And we do what we do because at an emotionality level, that emotion says this is the best thing you can do. That is why one of my favorite phrases from Deepak Chopra says, if it helps you to forgive, just know that we are all doing the best we can out of our level of consciousness. In other words, we're all doing the best we can out of our level of emotionality. You do what you do because in that moment your emotion is saying this is the way of coping with this. So you scream and yell and kick, or you procrastinate, or you get angry at everyone, you get resentful, you send that text that you shouldn't send it, you say that thing that you shouldn't have said, because in that moment you said, your emotional body said, this is the way that we can protect ourselves, so let's go ahead and do it. And that's why when we're not in such a deep emotional intensity, and then we look back to what we just did, we sometimes go like, oops, I shouldn't have done that. Oops, how come I did that? How come I said that? And it's because in that moment you are so triggered that everything in your body said this is the way of coping. people with anger management issues. Anger is a way of saying this is the way that I can protect myself. But in reality, someone that is really angry is someone that is really fearful in that moment. So again, just put this example in the slide because it's just one of many, and it's one that resonates with me and might resonate with you. But it could apply to any habit. So once you have that emotionality, or once I feel inadequate, not enough, abandoned, I will go into the behavior that I thought would soothe me. And we retreat to certain behaviors because we're desperately looking for soothing. We're desperately looking for love. And what happens is that we look for this love, for this soothing in the wrong places. And for me, for many years, was food. Food would soothe me. And then in time, something that you do over and over again creates a habit. And the sum of your habits create your reality. That is why it's so important to pay attention. What is it that you're believing? Because here's the thing. Sometimes we can catch the thought and be very clear, okay, this is what I'm believing. But sometimes it's hard with the thoughts because we have many thoughts a day, as I already said last week, up to 90,000 thoughts. But we were given something even more amazing, more than the thoughts, something more palpable about our beingness is our emotions, or are our emotions. Emotions are like our GPS, because thoughts are the language of the mind. So the mind is talking to you through thoughts, but emotions are the language of the body. And it's easier to catch how we feel than to catch what we're thinking. I'm going to say it one more time. You can write it down if you want. It's easier to catch your emotions than to catch your thoughts, because we have so many thoughts that sometimes we don't even know what we're thinking. But we usually, if we drop into our bodies, we know what we're feeling. That is why it's so important that when you're having an emotional roller coaster, when you're very, very triggered, to drop into your body. Once we drop into our bodies, we can communicate with our emotions, because this is something I see sometimes in the personal development arena or community, is that with positive psychology, which is amazing, we could, if we're not careful, if we don't have discernment, we could bypass our emotions. And our emotions have a very important message to all of us to deliver. There are GPS, there are messengers. They're telling you something about you. But if we try to override them, if we say, oh no, whatever, I just need to be positive, then we're not really learning from them. And they just keep repeating over and over again. That's why we have patterns. And when you're feeling an emotion, it's because the emotion is trying to leave your body. It's trying to leave you. It's emerging so that it can be out of your body. But the problem is that when we feel an emotion, first thing we do, we judge it. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm feeling this sad. And then not only that, we not only judge it, but we attach a story to it. And an emotion says, say the scientists or the people that have seen it through biofeedback, an emotion without a story takes 90 seconds to go through your body. 90 seconds. But as human beings, we have so many stories that we attach to our emotions that sometimes an emotion could last weeks, months, and decades. Turning that emotion into a mood, to a personality. And you just say, oh, this is just me. I tend to be depressive. I tend to be, I tend to be in self-sabotage. But what if you are that way because you've never known, or nobody has ever taught you how to deal with your emotions, how to handle your emotions? I hope you're with me so far. So let's take a deep breath. And let go. So let's carry on. So this is a picture that I found in the internet of ancient Egypt. So there's a movie called Emotion. I'm going to in the material, in the website that I'm going to be uploading week 2, I'm going to put a link to the movie that I would love for you to watch. You can live stream it. I think if you pay $3 or $4, you can watch it, or you can watch it from different channels. I'm going to suggest to you how you can access this documentary. It's not a movie, it's a documentary. It's called Emotion. But in this documentary, they mentioned how in ancient Egypt, they didn't talk about illnesses with all of the characteristics or all of the names that we talk about today. In fact, they only had one name to describe all illnesses, and this one name was chaos. If you had a headache, you had chaos. If you had a backache, you had chaos. If you had a stomachache, you had chaos. And what did they mean by chaos? Chaos means that when emotions are not moving throughout your body, when they're being stagnant in one part of your body, they start deteriorating the tissue of your cells, creating chaos. So emotions are energy in movement. Emotion, energy in motion. And when the energy stays stagnant and starts moving just in one area of your body, it will start creating chaos. And when you're in chaos, then symptoms comes out of that. For example, I know when I'm feeling anxious, I get anorexia nervosa. I can't eat, and I feel it in my stomach. I know that when I can't eat, it's because there's an emotion that I'm not dealing with it's closing my appetite. And the adrenaline is making me go so fast. And it's okay at points where I'm just creating and I'm just feeling in the flow. But if it stays too long in the body, I'm not aware of it. I know in time I will create gastritis or IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome. That's me. Another thing that some people may encounter, it's like when they're feeling a lot of nervousness or they're anticipating something, the gut will feel it. There's people that have talked about how we not only have neurons in our brain and in our hearts, but we also have neurons. There's a third brain that is your gut, and your gut is taking a lot of emotions. So I don't know if some people get constipated, sometimes people get diarrhea, and so forth and so on. Every emotion is giving you a signal there's something, it's in chaos. But as I said at the beginning of this class, we're going to talk about how chaos could be a blessing in disguise. Okay? So my teacher, Michael Bernard Beckwith, says, whenever there is chaos, there's a northern trying to emerge. And I'll never forget how one time there was a doctor in this retreat center that I work. And this lady was telling the doctor, I feel so sad because I thought my breast cancer was gone, but I'm feeling so much pain right now in my breast, in my armpit, and in my arm. And she was getting more treatment, and she's like, I'm just so afraid that the cancer is back. And she was just in chaos, and most of the pain, most of the chaos came from the pain that she was feeling physically. So she was telling this to the doctor, and the doctor said, you know what, people often mistake or people often don't understand pain. And people think that pain means that there's something wrong with you. And yes, it might be an indication of chaos, but pain, and here's a different perspective, pain is also an indication that your body is looking for order. So the same way for example, you're feeling nauseated, that you're feeling nausea, and you've been food poisoned. When you're feeling the nausea, is because the body is looking to release that food that is not serving you, that has put all of your digestive system in chaos. When you're crying, tears are a way of you calibrating yourself. But what happens when we're crying? We judge it. We say, oh my God, I shouldn't be crying. I shouldn't be feeling this. And we judge our emotions, but tears are a way of you calibrating. Pain is a way of you calibrating and going back to order. In any natural environment, let that be cells or nature or animals, human beings. If there is chaos, there's always an order trying to emerge. In fact, I like to put the example of Costa Rica, and when Costa Rica has rainy season. And in the rainy season in Costa Rica, it gets chaotic. Trees go down, rivers overflow, it gets crazy. But I would say 7 out of 10 mornings after a chaotic night of rain, 7 out of 10, you would wake up and the sky will be blue. The water, where I live by the ocean will be glassy like oil, perfect. And I ask myself every time, how is it possible that last night that we were having thunders and it was raining like crazy, and this morning it's like nothing happened? And the reason is because nature is always seeking for that order. But see, another thing, nature is not avoiding chaos. Nature doesn't go like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm raining so much today. I can't believe there's thunder tonight. Nature embraces chaos because through chaos we can find a deeper order too. It's through chaos where human beings, human race tends to evolve and expand our consciousness. Every time there is a chaotic circumstance in the world, we as human beings, as a collective, will start looking for solutions. And sometimes it means, now I don't watch that many news, but I know that it's very easy for the collective to stay stuck in the chaos without looking for solutions. But going back to, for example, Carl Jung, he lived in the midst of chaos for many years in the Holocaust, and he found order. He even created the logotherapy after he came out of the Holocaust. He taught all of his students how to practice the power of choosing a better meaning to whatever circumstance you were having, the power of choice. And now he's long gone, and he's still impacting a lot of lives because of what he learned through his chaos. So, chaos is always looking for order. And so if you've been in pain, if you've been in confusion, if you've been in depression, it's because your body, your entire system is looking for an order. And here's the thing, chaos doesn't have to last a decade, not even a week. Depending on what you're going through, you can transmute and find the order in the midst of that chaos, or get to order once you go through the chaos. I'm hoping I'm making sense. So take a deep breath and let it go. Beautiful. So here is a little picture I got from the internet, and it says emotions is energy in motion, energy movement. So as you can see in the slide, we have different emotions and how anger lights up in the body, in the upper part of the body, and the arms, and how it's yellowish and orange. How fear works, it's more of a red color, and how in the solar plexus there's intensity. Disgust, it's more in the throat area. Then happiness, how it's more of a yellowish light all around the head. All of this, the people that have studied emotions, they get this information through biofeedback. Sadness, how sadness looks, surprise, how it is to be in neutral emotionality, anxiety, love, depression. This little figure, it's a little blue, so that's why people say I'm feeling a little blue. Contempt, pride, shame, and envy. And so all of these are the rainbow of emotions, and I'm sure we're missing many of the emotions, but here's a few of the most popular ones. And this is the intention of this class is not for you to say, well, from now on, I'm only going to feel happy. Because this is a universe of dichotomy. What I mean by that is that we get to know light because we have experienced darkness. We know what happy is because we felt sad. We know what expansion means because we have felt contracted. So it's not a matter of you judging the low frequency emotions. It's just to get to know them and know that all of them, the beautiful ones and the heavy ones, all of them have a message for us. They're our allies. They're not our enemies. They're all beautiful messengers that come to show you something about yourself, for you to get to know yourself so deep that you can navigate this life with so much grace and love. All right? Beautiful. Let's carry on. Tony Robbins, as I said before, last year I went to one of his seminars, and he was talking about how the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your emotions. When you're feeling high emotions, high frequency emotions, you get to do more, you get to create, you get to be more in that sharing space. You want to be of service, you want to smile more, you want to be we want to be a benefit for other people. But when you're feeling low frequency emotions like shame, for example, shame is like the kiss of death. In the research of Brené Brown, she says that guilt is when you say, I did something wrong, I shouldn't have done that. But shame is when you say, I am something wrong. At a level of personality, there's something intrinsically wrong with you. Is that I am wrong. Instead of I did something wrong, I am wrong. It's like a kiss of death. And when you're feeling shame and when you're feeling sadness, you start this survival mode that perpetuates for months and years. And then that's why sometimes we look a year before or 2 years and you said, oh my God, I don't know what that time went by and I haven't done much. And when we say that, it's because we've been in a survival mode. And here's the thing. When you are surviving, you're not creating. You're only surviving. There's only energy to survive when you're surviving. But when we're in a high frequency, we are creating. We have more creativity. We're more in tune with our intuition. That is why it's so important to know that the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your emotions. If you tend to feel low frequency emotion, that's the pattern in your life, then it's going to be harder to get to your goals. It's harder to get to the outcome of what you want. It's harder to get to your desires. It's going to be very, very hard. All right, I hope you are with me so far. Let's take a deep breath and let go. Beautiful. So let's carry on. So let's remember what we learned last week. We have 2 hormones that are very, very important. We have the cortisol hormone. This is all about survival. And we have the DHEA hormone. This is all about creation. And when we are secreting cortisol, it's because we might be in anger, frustration, anxiety, burnout, withdrawal, resentment. And then DHEA is produced when you're in excitement and courage. Remember, courage is not the absence of fear. It's doing it despite the fear. It's going from your heart, acting from your heart. Passion, contentment, fulfillment, and ease. So those are the ones that create DHEA. And so I have some questions for you to kind of like back up what Tony Robbins was saying about your emotions. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of your emotions. And so the questions are the following. What emotion best support you when you have an important decision to make? I want you to look at the left list that says anger, frustration, anxiety, burnout, withdrawal, and resentment, and ask yourself, at any of those emotions support me when I have to make a decision, an important decision? Or look at the list of the DHEA producing emotions and ask which one of those emotions would best support me when I have to make an important decision. And choose one. I know when I have to make an important decision, for me, the best emotion that supports that is to be at ease, because that means I'm choosing from my heart. What emotion would best support you when you are planning a project? I know that for me, it's definitely not any on the left corner in the left list, or the list on the left side of the slide. is definitely passion. When I'm passionate, I love planning. What emotion would best support you when you have an issue you have to discuss with a spouse, friend, or boss? And this one for sure for me is ease again. To be at ease. Because when I'm at ease, I know that I don't have to defend myself. There's a beautiful quote in A Course in Miracles that says, "In your defenselessness lies your protection." But in order to not fall in the trap of defending ourselves, we must know that it is safe to let go and allow the universe to protect us. To know that there are forces always in support of you. Always. There are always forces supporting you. Then in your defenselessness is where your protection is. But in order for me to get to this truth, to this principle, I need to be at ease. What emotion would best support you when you're facing a physical challenge? Would it be frustration? Anxiety? You said no, Paula, absolutely not. When I'm facing a physical challenge, I need to be in courage because it's going to require a lot of courageous acts to get to the other side, to get back to health. When you're having a health issue, again, what about being in contentment? I don't know if you ever heard about the placebo effect. People that start watching movies that make them laugh and they decide to dump anything negative, and then all of a sudden they cure themselves because contentment, excitement is secreting juices, healing juices. We have a pharmacy in our brain. We're the most potent pharmacy you'll ever know in your life. But here's the thing, we don't know how to use it well. We're just always at the mercy of our circumstances. But just imagine how your life will be different if you knew, okay, I'm going through this difficult situation right now. It's time to create some good juices, some good neurotransmitters in my brain that will send signals to my brain that it is safe to relax, that it is safe to let go, that it is okay to go back to health, that it is okay to calibrate myself. It will be very, very good, right? Beautiful. Let's take a deep breath and let go. So, the way that we perceive life is very important. And this is one of the most profound things I've learned. Besides knowing that my beliefs are so important in creating my reality. And there's something called RAS, your reticular activated system. And your reticular activated system is that part of you that filters information. So I don't know if it ever happened to you. It's definitely happened to me. About a year ago, I wanted to buy a truck, a pickup truck. I like surfing, so I like to put my boards in the back. I like to feel strong in a big car because I'm kind of petite. So when I'm in a small car, I feel more vulnerable. So, and I just love the way that those trucks look. So I wanted a Toyota Hilux. Or Helix, I don't know how you say it. And I remember when I started looking for that car, the only car my eyes will catch were Toyota Hilux. It was so amazing, and this has an explanation. In your brain, there's a reticular activated system. When you inform your brain that you want to look for something, the brain says, okay, got it. You want to buy a Toyota Hilux, so I'm going to find only those cars in the road. When I wasn't interested in buying one of those cars, I wouldn't even look at them. I wouldn't even find them. But so it's very important to understand that your 2 million-year-old brain, your 2 million-year-old brain and my 2 million-year-old brain is usually looking for triggers that say, this is my way of survive. I'm going to say one more time. Your 2 million-year-old brain is constantly looking for that trigger that would say, okay, I have a situation here, need to survive now. In other words, your brain is constantly looking for problems to fix because that means it's doing its thing, it's doing its role in this life, which is protecting you. So that is why our reticular activated system tends to look for the negative first instead of the positive. That's why you're usually looking at how people are not, responding to your expectation. That's why it's very easy to look at yourself in the mirror and look all of the flaws that you have and be very critical of your body, and etc., etc., etc. And what determines what I'm looking for? Well, again, your beliefs. Whatever it is that you believe, whatever information you have here, your brain is going to say, okay, I'm believing that I'm not enough. So I'm going to find all of the evidence with my RAS, with my reticular activated system, all the evidence how I'm not enough. Oh, you see that? Well, story of my life. You see that? Well, the story of my life. And it's determined by your beliefs. But hopefully with these classes, with this 4-week boot camp, by the end of this 4-week, we're going to be so aware of our RIS that we're going to be commanding our brain. In fact, the other night, as I told you on the call, right now I'm in Australia and I was having some jet lag. And I remember waking up at a very strange hour. And then I said to my brain, I command you to sleep now. And we're going to sleep so well. And I just said it with so much conviction that I went back to sleep. When I fight it, when I said, oh my God, I need to sleep, I said, I command you. And we're going to learn how to do that today. We're going to command the brain because you are the boss. You are the boss. This is a servant. You don't negotiate with this. You command it with your heart. How does that sound? Amazing, huh? And it works. Has worked for me and has worked for many people that I have coached, and I know will work for you. Okay? If you apply it, only if you apply it. The reticular activated system, it's also determined by the patterns. What is your favorite flavor of suffering? So going back to this one, what's your favorite flavor of suffering? Is it anger? Is it frustration? Is it anxiety? Is it burnout? Are you always tired? I know for me, this used to be in the past. I was always tired. Is it withdrawal? Is it resentment? And we're missing some of them. Sometimes it's comparison. That was another one for me. Comparing myself all the time. So which one is yours? Let's just be aware. And another very important question that we can ask ourselves to know what is that we're believing, to know what is the filter that we have in front of our eyes that is giving us the perception that we have about our environment is this question. What am I making this mean about me? So here's a suggestion to you for this week. Next time you're triggered, next time you're trying to, resolve or manipulate or control situations, go within and ask yourself, this situation, what am I making this mean about me? And it will bring you a belief that you have about life. What am I making this mean about me? For example, I know that at this retreat where I work, sometimes people don't get their luggage. Their luggage don't come and they get frustrated. They're already nervous by, being in another country and, all the new things they're going to experience throughout the week. And sometimes I see them all frustrated. And sometimes if I coach them during the week, I would ask them, what did you make that mean about you? And sometimes they would say, what that means about me is that I've always had bad luck. For whatever reason, things go well for other people, but they never go well for me. So delays or rejection is just normal. So what is the belief there? I'm not worthy of good things. Everyone is worthy but me. So if you want to get into your subconscious mind, this is a beautiful question to ask yourself. What am I making this mean? Because mean is determining your reality, the meaning that you give to things. There are two men sitting in a jail. They're both sitting in a jail. One is looking outside at the beautiful stars of that night, and the other one is looking at the bars that are preventing him from freedom. Same situation, different reality. Why? Because they're both given it a different meaning. One is observing the beauty of the stars and the moon that night, and the other one is just focused on how he doesn't have freedom at that moment. Same situation, different reality. So the way that we perceive life very important to understand RAS, which is your reticular activated system, the filter, your beliefs, your patterns, and what am I making this mean about me? So this 4 points is pretty much all one thing. This is your perception is tainted by your focus. Your perception is determined by your focus. So, what are the biggest fears among all human beings? And the biggest fear among all human beings is not being enough and therefore not being loved. And why is this the biggest fear among all human beings? Because when you're not enough, then you're not going to be loved. And when you're not loved, you're not going to belong. And our 2 million year brain says, if I am not part of at least of a small community, I won't survive this very hostile environment. I will starve to death. I will probably be very, very cold and die because of the hostile environment. Because we are beings of community. And next, we're going to talk about relationships. Relating is everything. Relating to one another is everything. So we do what we do because we are fearing not being good enough and not being loved. So that's why we compensate. So the person that yells and has no anger management is doing that because it's so afraid of not being enough and not being loved. That is the wrong way. Well, let's not say wrong, but that is the way, the coping mechanism that makes him feel that he will be safe, that he will be loved. Or those of you that told me last week in the call, I want to be understood. Well, we do that, and please understand me. Please let me know that I'm enough, that I'm going to be loved. But I'm going to feel that way if you understand me. That's why we keep arguing. That's why we keep defending ourselves. We do what we do because we're running away from our fears. All right? But instead of running away, my intention with this class is that we go towards fulfillment, that we walk towards love and grace. Instead of running away, I want to move towards something that is positive. All right? So Ralph Waldo Emerson said something beautiful. What lies before us, what lies behind us, is nothing compared to what lies within us. So if you see a car, the rear mirror is a very small mirror. But the windshield is the biggest part of the front part of the car. So your rear mirror can show you a little bit of the past, and it's relevant sometimes to look at the past, what happened when you were 7 and you learned certain things and you felt unsafe. But if you drive a car and you focus your attention in the rear mirror of your car, I think I'm saying this word incorrectly, but you know, the mirror that allows you to look back, you probably have an accident very, very quickly. Where do you have to have your focus? In this present moment, in what's going on in front of your eyes. And most of that information, you find it going within you. To be very present with yourself. So what lies before us, which will be the future when you future trip and you get all anxious about that. And what lies behind you, which is your past, all the things that didn't work, all the abandonment that happened, is nothing compared to what lies within us. So compared to a car, to be present and just looking at the unfolding of the road of your own journey. But in order to do that, we need to travel within. Okay? So, one way to go within is by inquiry. So, how do we transmute a belief? But before we do this, let's take a deep breath and let go. So in my book Free, this is page 69. If you have the book, you can refer to that page of the book. If not, we're going to do it together. I took it from there. And this is how do I take a belief and then transmute it into something different. So what is your belief? Let's just take this hypothetical situation, and then you can do your own later. Okay, so let's say this person is believing, I am not smart enough or brave enough to achieve what I want. Okay, so every belief, it's in your subconscious mind because you have something that is holding it, that is saying, you know what, this is true. So what is the positive emotion that holds that belief? In psychology, this is called your it's called, let me see, the secondary gain. What is the secondary gain? And this means the person that smokes doesn't smoke because he wants to get lung cancer. It smokes because in that moment he's getting a secondary gain, which is a little bit of ease in the midst of the nervousness, in the midst of the body asking for the nicotine. Okay, so there's always a secondary gain. So what is the positive emotion? What is the secondary gain that you have by holding this belief? Why is it right to trust what you believe in? So this person says, well, when I believe this, I remain in my comfort zone. Remember that the belief was I'm not smart enough or brave enough to achieve what I want. So when I believe this, I remain in my comfort zone. So that's a secondary gain that I get. It is easier to believe this. That way, I do not look bad in front of myself or anyone else. So it's easier to believe this because therefore you don't have to fail. That's the next one. I avoid failing if I do not risk anything. And another reason is I don't get stressed about a new project. That's why I'm calmer. So sometimes we believe what we believe because the brain says, you know what, this is a comfort zone. We're used to this. This is familiar. Let's just stay here. That's one of the reasons what we believe. So again, I would love for you to find one of your beliefs and do this process. You first write the belief and then you ask yourself, what is the positive emotion that holds this belief? Why is it right for me to trust what I believe in? Okay? And then here's the RAS. What evidence do you have that this is true? So remember, your brain is always going to be scanning the evidence that is congruent to what you believe. So this person says, when I was a child, my father called me stupid, so that's evidence. I have always been fearful to everything from public speaking to playing certain sports. In college, I was never the best student in my class. Up until now in my life, I've always played it very safe. I'm afraid of failure. So that's the evidence that the person has. So it not only has evidence, but it has an emotion that says, you know what, let's just stay in the comfort zone. So now you see how that belief is supported in your brain. It's very supported to stay there and to stay strong. But here's the fourth step. What would you prefer believing it? Use the opposite of what you're believing now. What would you like your new belief to be? So going back, the belief was, I am not smart enough or brave enough to achieve what I want. And this person says, I am smart and brave enough to achieve everything I set my mind to. Okay? So here's the thing. That's an affirmation that you're not going to believe it at first. It's kind of like throwing arrows to a steel wall. It's going to bounce back to you. So what we want to do is to bring evidence. So this is a step that will allow you to start believing in time that you could be smart and brave enough to achieve everything you set your mind to. So this person said, well, you know what? There is evidence. So let me see. I have never failed a class in my entire life. At my job, I have been acknowledged for my performance on several occasions. My girlfriend always acknowledged how quick I am to solve problems. I traveled alone for several months and I was not afraid to do so. So you start bringing to your RAS the idea like, look, it's not that true that I am not brave or smart enough. It's not that true. And then from this point forward, what I would say to my clients and what I'm suggesting to you is that you start looking for evidence, that you command your brain. Now, from now on, I'm going to start looking for evidence, not only in my life, but in the life of others, that it is possible. That is why, and this is a little parenthesis, it's so profound when you change your ways, when you When you evolve, when you expand as a human being, as a spiritual being having a human experience, you become evidence to other people that it is possible to rise above any limiting beliefs. I know that every time I'm investing time in my own evolution, I'm being of benefit, I'm being of service of the world. Because then I become evidence for other people's RAS. And they say, wow, if she can, maybe I can too. Like Marianne Williamson says in one of her poems, when you're shining, you allow others to do the same. When you're being bright in your own beauty, in your own brilliance, you are opening up space for others to do the same. So know that all of this work that we're doing together is not a selfish work. Seems selfish because it's all about focusing the attention on self. But when you're changing yourself, when you're healing your life, you're healing the world. Let's take a deep breath right now. And let that go. Beautiful. All right then. Since your new belief is something your brain still cannot process or doesn't believe, we must use small intentions that you already believe and that point you toward what you truly want to believe. So an affirmation number one or an intention number one is I am smart and capable already. This person may feel comfortable by saying that. You know what? I'm smart and capable already in many areas of my life. Another one is my courage comes from taking hard, inspired action, even though I'm scared. So that person has an evidence that in the past he has taken courageous action. So courage will come by taking more action, more inspired action. So that could be another affirmation. Now these are all suggestions. I want you to create your own. And an affirmation number 3 could be I'm enough. It is safe to trust life. I know this is a big one for me. It is safe to trust life. Every time I'm being in too much controlling mode, I get into survival mode. And a way of me going back to truth is telling myself, Paola, it is safe to trust life. It works for me. Now, again, I don't want you to use something that does not resonate with you. It has to resonate with you. So that is why I'm going to add into the resources area of the website that I'm sending you with week 2. This website is called lovehonorandrespect.org, Emotional Health Louise Hayes Affirmation for Illnesses. So you can find here maybe right now your body is showing you that there's something in chaos. So you go through that part of your body that is hurting and you find what's the emotion. And then you find the affirmation. That could be another way of bringing affirmations into your life. For example, if you have abdominal cramps, affirmation is I trust the process of life. I am safe. If you have abscess, I allow my thoughts to be free. The past is over. The past is over. I am at peace. Accidents. If you're falling, if you're breaking glasses, if you're crashing your car, you may want to say, I release in me that created this. I release in me that created this. I am at peace. I am worthwhile. So again, I'm going to add this link into the resource list that I'm putting here below this video, so you can access that and create and with the help of Louise Hayes affirmations, create your own. And on Thursday when we meet, I would love to know what affirmation you have created for yourself. Okay? Beautiful. So emotions are the language of the body. The body is always speaking to you through emotions. And here are 3 reasons to take care of the body. Because the body temple is what we have been given to navigate this life. Okay? So we've been given this body temple, and this is the only relationship you don't get to divorce from. And especially women, we have a very hard relationship to our bodies because our bodies are the biggest source of shame. So I know for myself, many years ago, I would take care of my body with crazy diet. Would take care of my body, I would put it in quotes, quote unquote, because it was more of an abuse. And I would do it from a stage of being vain. I just wanted to fit in. I just wanted to belong. I just wanted to feel enough. I did it from a space of fear. So I would do what I would do for that reason. Then you can do it for another stage, will be wellness. You do it because you want to age more graceful, because you want to have more energy, because you want to feel healthy. That's a beautiful space of doing things. But it's still a very me reason. For stage 1, vanity, I'm doing it for me, so that I can fit in, so that I can be enough, so that I can be as good as someone else using comparison. Then stage 2 is for wellness. Is I'm doing it because I want to feel good. I want to feel energetic. But there is a third stage, and this is the stage of being a vessel. You know that your body temple is not only here to navigate, to eat, to sleep, and to all of those beautiful pleasures of life, but it's also here to be a vessel of more light, of more healing. A vessel means when you're the receiver of the grace and the beauty of this universe. Do you feel that? Let's take a deep breath. When you know that this body is not only for me reasons, but it's also to be of service of the world. I know that if I were sick and tired in this moment, and I was teaching this class right now to you, these words probably wouldn't land in your heart as deep as when I'm feeling strong and healthy and vibrant. Because the body needs to be in an optimal stage to also be of service of the world. So when I understood this principle, everything changed in my relationship with my body. Because yes, I was doing it for wellness. Also, it's nice to look nice. It's beautiful to celebrate our bodies, mostly if you're a woman, to celebrate beauty. It's part of the feminine energy. But also, when I learned that I'm more powerful in my message, and this is my example, and I'm a coach and I'm a speaker, but I'm also a friend. I'm also a girlfriend. I'm also an auntie. I'm also a part of my community, a player, an active participant in my community. And when I know that if I show up clean in my emotions, when I show up strong in my body, I could be more of service. I could be more of a lighthouse. That my words are not so necessary. That only my beingness can change the environment of a group. Then is when I started to look at taking on my body temple at a profound stage of consciousness. So I don't eat well only because I want to feel good and I want to look good. I eat well because I know that when I'm eating well, I'm creating good moods in my body, and I could be more powerful in my message. That I could be more responsive when I have a difficult situation or a challenge to face in my relationships, which we're going to be talking next week. Next week, not next year. Okay. So I hope I made my point here. Let's go into stage 3. Know that we're taking care of this body temple of our emotions because we want to be a vessel of love, a vessel of peace, a vessel of grace, so that we can give and receive. All right, let's take a deep breath. Now let go. Beautiful. So here are some self-care activities. Food, as I said in the call last week, food creates moods. So very important, be very aware of the food that you're intaking. A lot of sugar, a lot of carbs will create sluggishness, fogginess in your brain. When we're feeling very emotional, we're not dealing with our emotions, we tend to look for foods that are high in sugar, high in carbohydrates, because the brain knows that that's the fastest way to create serotonin. But the thing with that fast way of getting serotonin and dopamine is that it goes up and then it goes down and crashes, and then we feel worse than before we ate the food that created that mood. Okay, movement. Exercise, very important. Common sense, right? So if you're not moving enough, if you're not exercising, know that emotions are energy in motion. So if you want to shift your mood, go for a walk, move your body, and you'll see that everything shifts. sleep, hydration, supplementation, all of that very important. But the fourth one is the last one, but not the least important, and this is emotional hygiene. Here's where I wanted to go today. Having emotional hygiene, and this is what we're about to learn right now, how to be emotionally cleaned. Because here's the thing, we show up every day clean, right? You brush your teeth, you shower every day, hopefully. We have a commitment to the community to show up clean, because it'd be weird if you smell, right? You don't want that. You want to belong. You want to be accepted. You want to feel enough. So we show up clean. But not once we were growing up, our parents, or at least my parents, didn't say, but you have to show up also clean in your emotions. You have to be cleaning up your home, this beautiful home over here. And so how do we engage in emotional hygiene? First thing is, remember, the past does not have to be the future unless you live there. So one of the most important concepts about emotional hygiene is that we must let go of the past. The past doesn't have to be the future unless you are determined to live there, to replay in your mind over and over again what happened 2 weeks ago with those people, or 10 years ago, or when you were 7 years old. It's beautiful to do inner child work and clean up your home, but it's also very powerful to know that the only moment that you have is this present moment. Right here, right now is when you find the healing. Right here, right now is where you can create a brilliant future. All right? Awesome. Let's take a deep breath and let go. So step number 1, take full responsibility on how you feel. Take full responsibility on how you feel. Next week, we're going to talk more about this. But when you're taking full responsibility, you become the creator and not the victim of your reality. And one of the ways that I love to take full responsibility of my emotions is by sitting down with myself, breathing through my heart, and then asking my heart, what do I need in this moment? Most of the time we're suffering because our needs are not being met. And we're asking everyone, can you please meet my need of recognition? Can you please meet my need of belonging? Can you please meet my need of feeling loved? And when the world fails to give it to you because you don't know how to give it to yourself, and it's all a mirror, then we become victims and we say, oh, poor me. It's just that I don't have anybody to love me. People don't understand me. This is too hard. Life is too hard. But when you take full responsibility of how you feel, then you start engaging in emotional hygiene. Question number 1, what do I need in this moment? And I have put a needs inventory here. You can take a look at it. You can pause it. You can. I'm going to put the link in the resource area below this video so that you can access this inventory. I took it from the Nonviolent Communication Organization, and your heart may be saying, you know what? I need acceptance right now, affection, appreciation, belonging, or I need some food. I need some sexual expression. I need some touch. I need some integrity. I need some humor. I need inspiration. I need independence. I need more awareness. I need more hope. I need growth. And then once you find what is it that you need, you're going to ask, what can I do right now to fulfill that need? And if you can ask someone that loves you, that is willing to give it to you, then you do it. But if you feel like, right now, this is all me with me, which is 99% of the time, then you go ahead and give it to yourself. I know there's been times where it says, you know what, I need to feel right now. This is it. I need to express my emotions, and I will allow myself to cry for a good 10, 20 minutes. And then once I have fulfilled that need of expressing my emotions, I was okay. Okay, but just be aware with this part. I'm not going into down the rabbit hole of depression. This is about you releasing, not ruminating depression and sadness. This is about you letting go. You're allowing yourself to cry, and every time your tears are coming out, you're purging them out. Okay? I need sometimes, I know, sleep. It's a big thing for me. If I'm not well rested, I will start getting very emotional. So rest. So very important to ask yourself, what do I need in this moment? Beautiful. Number 2, be a diligent student of your own emotions. And what do I mean by this? Keep asking yourself. And you do this by taking some time to be with self. You can ask yourself, what is trying to emerge within me? So right now I'm feeling all of this chaos, all of this sadness, all of this anxiety. What is trying to emerge within me? And that's why it's so important to do heart breathing. We're going to do it together today again. And you can ask this once you have breathed through your heart a few times. What must I learn is another good question, or is another way of asking what is trying to emerge within me. Another question, if this situation were never to change, what quality would have to emerge within me in order to find peace in the midst of the chaos? And if you're going through the dark night of the soul, if you're going through a lot of confusion, this is a good one to ask. If this situation were never to change, which that's an impossibility in this ever-evolving, ever-changing universe, but let's say, just for the sake of giving some soothing to the ego, then what quality would I have to give birth within me in order to find peace in the midst of chaos? I know I'm giving you lots of questions. If you need to pause this video, pause it right now and take it little by little. Number 3, what must I let go in my life? What must I let go of in my life? In order to bring new qualities, new awarenesses, we need to create space. And the way that we create space is by letting go, by having the awareness. You know what? Comparison. I must let go of that. Caring too much of what others think of me. And being more diligent of acknowledging myself, of acknowledging the beauty and the grace that is within me. Okay, number 3, maintain a clean home. So how do you maintain a clean home? You are aware of the pattern of your physical body. So breathe and posture. So your breath and posture. So your breath, meaning notice how you breathe when you're highly stressed. If you are shallow breathing, take a deep breath. Another way is that you change your posture. So you put your shoulders, you open your shoulders, you put your chin up, and then you change your posture to a power pose. If you're going to go to a meeting, if you're going to go to a conversation where you're going to feel less than, I encourage you to take 2 minutes and get into a power pose. I know that sometimes when I have to teach and I'm very tired, I will go into a power pose for 3 minutes and I'll smile. I will physically change my state. I will physically change my posture to change my emotional state. Sometimes I will dance, and I will just open my arms, and I just feel the expansion of my beingness. So, how do you keep your home clean? You are aware of your body by looking at how you breathe and how's your posture. So use your breath and your posture to maintain an expansive state of beingness, okay? And you don't have to be engaged, you don't have to be in that space with your brain yet. Sometimes you have to push yourself to do it. You have to command yourself. Say, right now I'm feeling this emotion and it's time to transmute it. Or I just want to keep being in this stage. So you go ahead and change your posture, or you take deep breaths, or you do both. Whatever works for you. What I would love for you to do is to test all this and see if it works, okay? Beautiful. Pattern of focus. This is the most important one. So whatever you will focus on, you'll feel. Whatever you will focus on, you will feel. So if you're focusing on what you're lacking, that's what you will feel. You'll feel in lack. If you're focusing on what's wrong, that's how you will feel. You'll feel wrong. If you focus on possibilities, which are all those questions that we're asking in step number 1 and number 2, when you're finding answers by asking high quality questions, then you're changing your focus. You can even ask yourself, what can I focus instead right now in this moment? You can focus on your affirmations that you created just before I landed on this step 3 of emotional hygiene. Then number 3, the pattern of language. As soon as we put words into an experience, it changes the meaning of it. So very important. Be aware of your words. Your words have the capacity to create. So if you take anything this weekend, this is something that resonates. This is a powerful one. What are you talking about? What are the words that come out of your lips? Those are an indication of what you're entertaining in your consciousness. From the abundance of your heart speaks the mouth. And if you're speaking words of lack, of limitation, of worry, of concern, of criticism, judgment, separation, you're creating that. And that's what you're entertaining. So, one more time. Maintain a clean home by being aware of your body, your breath, and your posture. Pattern of focus. Look at what you're focusing on and change the focus. Command your brain and say, right now, from this point forward, I'm going to be looking at what's right in my life or what's working. Gratitude is a good way of doing this one. You go into gratitude. Try to be grateful and miserable at the same time. It's not possible. Okay? And the pattern of language. Be aware of your words. Okay? Beautiful. So in other words, all of this today to say, if you have a charge in our battery by having beautiful words to speak, by having a beautiful relationship with your body temple, you'll be more resilient. And a charged inner battery means freedom. And that's what you want. That's definitely what I want, to live a life of freedom, emotional freedom. Knowing that when my life throws at me a challenge, a situation, I can choose in that moment. I can choose to say, okay, universe, what do you want me to learn? What is trying to emerge here? That is freedom. I'm not talking about not having any challenges. I'm talking about you engaging in your own freedom that nothing can take away from you. But in order to have freedom, we need to be charged. And that is why we just went through a process of how to use your body and how to use your emotions to be charged, to be at a peak state, to be navigating with grace and ease. What do you think about that? Let's take a deep breath. Let go now. So, calls to action for this week. Number 1, transmute one of your biggest limiting beliefs and create your affirmation. So that's your homework for Thursday. Transmute one of your biggest limiting beliefs and create your affirmation. Number 2, pay attention to your body. And whenever you're feeling low frequencies, change your posture. Okay? Take a deep breath. Very important, breathe through your heart. Where is your focus? Pay attention to your focus and change the pattern by focusing on something else. And pay attention to your words. Very important. This is an easy one, your words. Okay? Remember to breathe and affirm that you're enough. Let's not do any of this from a space of not enoughness. You are enough. In this moment, even in all of the imperfection that you think you are enough. Okay? So let's take a deep breath. Let go. And show up, show up, show up. Okay? So we have come to the last part of this class. And I would love for us to take some moments to breathe into our hearts. I'm going to, like last week, create a meditation for you so that it can guide you every time you need to breathe, and it's easier to do it with a guided meditation. So look for that meditation in the resource part of this page below this video. But we're going to do it right now together to close this class. So close your eyes gently and start taking a deep breath in your nose and exhale out the nose. As you're doing this, I want you to slow down your breath. breathing a little deeper and a little slower than you usually do it. And as you're doing this, I want you to breathe in your nose, but imagine as if you were breathing through your heart. And as you're breathing in and out, using your imagination, imagine it that you're doing it through your heart. I want you to focus all of your attention in your heart area. As you inhale and exhale, I want you to bring into your memory a moment in your life where you have felt deep appreciation. This could be someone or a moment, a memory in your life or something that makes you feel, that has made you feel deep appreciation, deep care. So inhale, let go. Inhale, now let go. Inhale. And as you are feeling this feeling tone of appreciation, I want you to inhale it and exhale it. Inhale deep care. Exhale deep care. And as you're feeling this way, you're going to ask your heart in this moment, out of everything that we have seen today, that I have learned today through this class, week 2, my body temple and my emotions, what is the most relevant piece of content that I can take with me right now and start applying it? Inhale appreciation. Exhale. What is the most relevant piece of content that I can start applying right now that will create a big impact in my life? And I want you to notice any subtle shift in your perception and your body. And commit yourself. Be committed to follow what your heart says in this moment. And as you get your answer, now we simply give thanks to your heart for being so wise, for being so present at all times, for being so willing to give us the answers. Breathe in and let go. So in this appreciation, we are ready to close this class. We're ready to close this lesson. We take a deep breath of love and appreciation. And now we simply let go. And we're slowly and gently open our eyes and come back to the room. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here with me, for taking this class. And I will talk to you on Thursday, June 21st at 8 p.m. Mountain Time. I love you. Have a wonderful week. And see you next week, week 3. We'll see you before on Thursday. Goodbye.